Hi everyone, I'm Roberta. I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist and welcome to Barcelona, Spain. We're on the most famous boulevard called La Rambla. We're going to be talking about weight loss tips, and I figured why not do it in Barcelona, Spain, where 40 to 50% of the people take afternoon siestas and lunch is the largest meal of the day. So won't you join me for lunch at La Textile so we can discuss some of these weight loss tips, and I want to show you what I had for lunch yesterday. These 3 weight loss tips come from the Johns Hopkins Weight Loss Surgery program. When I worked in the hospital, I met with bariatric patients prior to their surgery. Not at Johns Hopkins, but at my hospital, I met with the bariatric patients and had to teach them how to eat to make sure they knew what to do after surgery. If you don't know what bariatric surgery is, it's for individuals who have a body mass index over 40, who have health issues, who have tried every other way to lose weight without success, and this is their last effort to try to lose the weight. Most of the people I met with were going to have the gastric sleeve. With gastric sleeve surgery, the surgeon removes part of the stomach and makes a narrow tube or sleeve with the rest. The new stomach is much smaller than the original stomach, and the hope is that the person will eat less, lose weight, and improve their diabetes, sleep apnea, etc. So here is tip number 1. Chew your food thoroughly at least 20 times or until the food is liquid consistency. It's recommended that the bariatric patients cut their food to the size as small as a pencil eraser. When bariatric patients don't chew their food thoroughly, it can result in pain, nausea, vomiting. Now, how this tip benefits all of us is that we all should be chewing our food thoroughly at least 20 times. Some resources say 40 times, because digestion begins in the mouth. Saliva contains an enzyme that starts breaking down carbohydrates. And by chewing thoroughly, you can increase the amount of nutrients your body gets from the food. Not chewing your food thoroughly can reduce your body's ability to fully break down the food and can result in bloating, diarrhea, heartburn, acid reflux, cramps, gas, nausea, headaches, irritability, malnutrition, and indigestion. So be sure to chew each bite thoroughly at least 20 times, maybe even 40, and research even proves that increasing your number of chews before swallowing reduces meal size in normal weight, overweight, and obese adults. Are you ready for rule number 2? Well, hang on a moment because our food's here, and I can't wait to see what the chef prepared for us. Rule number 2 from Johns Hopkins Weight Loss Surgery program. Eat slowly, stop eating when you feel full or comfortably satisfied. Sit down, focus on your eating, focus on the taste, smell, texture. Avoid activities while eating, like watching television or reading. And put your fork down between bites. Now, how can we all benefit from this weight loss tip? Well, did you know that it takes 20 minutes for the brain to finally get the signal that you're full? Yep, and there are 2 fullness signals. The first signal is from the nerve cells in the wall of your stomach, and the second signal is from hormones being released by your gut as food is being digested. The stomach signal detects how much your stomach wall is stretching, and gut hormones register the nutrient content of what you've eaten, and these signals take about 20 minutes to get from your gut to your brain. Unfortunately, you can pack a lot of food into the stomach before 20 minutes rolls around. Harvard Medical School says that people who are obese might be less responsive to these hormones released by the gut and triggered to eat more by the alluring smell of certain foods. So what are we to do with tip number 2? Select a pre-portioned amount of food, chew thoroughly, take at least 20 minutes to eat, and if you're still hungry when your food is done, you can always eat more vegetables. Are you ready for tip number 3? Well, hang on a minute because our dessert's here. And tip number 3, read food labels for fat, sugar, and protein. Although these tips are intended for the bariatric patient, we can all benefit from them. Regarding sugar, avoid or limit high sugar foods, limit foods that contain sugar in the top 3 ingredients, and aim for no more than 15 grams of sugar per serving. Regarding sugar alcohols, limit sugar alcohol to no more than 10 grams per serving, particularly if sugar alcohols cause you to have cramping, abdominal pain, bloating, diarrhea. Regarding fat, avoid high-fat foods, Choose foods that are labeled light, low fat, or fat-free. And regarding protein, protein is the one nutrient that you do not have less of. You need more protein. Protein is necessary for wound healing, to have a strong immune system, to repair muscle tissue, organ tissue, to make blood. So for the bariatric patient as well as the non-bariatric patient, we need 60 to 80 grams of protein, or 80 to 100 grams of protein, or more depending on your needs. Whether your stomach has been surgically made smaller or not, we still need on average 80 grams of protein a day. But because someone with bariatric surgery has a smaller stomach, it's important that they eat their protein first before they get too full. It's recommended to take 2 to 3 bites of protein before you have your vegetable or bite of carbohydrate. And then just follow that cycle. 2 to 3 bites of protein, then a bite of vegetable, bite of carbohydrate, 2 to 3 bites of protein, bite of vegetable, bite of carbohydrate. Finally, I want to show you what I had for lunch yesterday. The sandwich and fruit that I had a total protein of 27 grams. I used Chunk Light tuna because Chunk Light has less mercury than albacore tuna. And this can has 2 servings, each with 18 grams of protein. I'll have the rest tomorrow. I used light mayonnaise where each tablespoon has 5 grams of fat. I used 1 tablespoon per sandwich, but I could have used 2 tablespoons if I wanted. And what I love about this whole wheat pita bread is that each pita has 8 grams of protein. After draining the tuna fish, I added 2 tablespoons of mayo to the tuna because remember, this has 2 servings. And I was too lazy to add chopped onions, celery, and carrots, but you can definitely do that. And I mixed it up and divided it in half since this will make 2 sandwiches. And now we just assemble. I finished out the meal with 1 cup of cantaloupe, a standard portion of fruit. And if you've seen my prior videos with the carb cubes, we know that half of the pita is 15 carbs, the other half of the pita is 15 carbs, and the portion of fruit is 15 carbs. I like to have about 45 carbs per meal. So in total, we end up with 355 calories, and the protein is 27 grams. But you know what? Sometimes when I'm really hungry, I'll catch myself eating the first half really quickly. So I'll stop after eating half of my food, set my timer for 10 minutes, and then after the timer goes off, then I'll eat the rest of the food. This usually keeps me from overeating. Thank you so much for joining me. Join me next time when we talk about more weight loss tips from Johns Hopkins Medical Center. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the bell if you want to be notified when the next video comes out, and until next time, take good care of yourself. Bye!